And welcome to another edition of Coast to Coast. I am your co-host Beyond 716 here with Whittle 2K as well, our co-host, and we want to start today's show with we had some really bad news this week. Former Buffalo Bills receiver Mike Williams unfortunately lost his life on Tuesday morning. He was taken off life support in Tampa, Florida. He was involved performing electrical work, and he was severely injured and required hospitalization. Just absolutely terrible news. Our hearts, our thoughts, and prayers absolutely go out to Williams' family, to Williams' former teammates, the Buffalo Bills, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and any fans around the world that were able to watch Mike. And such a young age, such a horrible story. So we just wanted to have a moment of silence to reflect on the life of Mike Williams.
Yeah, we're just gonna take a little time, and have a moment of silence. Welcome to Coast, everybody. Unfortunately, we have to start the pod today with bad news, but nevertheless, the show goes on. Like Beyond said, it's death is a little difficult. I mean, obviously death is difficult, um, but it's a part of life and something that we have to deal with. And while we're here, I want to extend um, thoughts and prayers to Caleb. He's one of the members of NFL Twitter's community. He lost his father, and we just want to also send love and prayers towards your towards you, Caleb, and your family as well. I don't know if Caleb is watching, but whether he is or not, just know that your family is in our prayers as well. Yeah, so let's get right into it. Um, Big game this weekend, Beyond. Uh, Jets game, Monday Night Football. The lights were bright. The moment was huge, and the quarterback was small. um,
Yep. Listen, go ahead. There's so many things we have on our mind, right? Well, it's like they're all kind of coming out this time, but go for it.
So before we get into the game, because I really can just get into the game and start ripping apart the play of my quarterback. Before I do that, I want to just go ahead and give some props and shout out to some of the Jet fans that pulled up to the tailgate. Beyond was out there. We got a chance to meet.
Finally, yes, that was great.
Finally we got a chance to meet in person. But Ozzy, Benny, J Megs, Justin, who else? Maven. PD, PD always shows us love. He was on the show last week. Ground and punt. I appreciate y'all pulling up, man. That was definitely love. And to all the Bills fans, to all the Bills Mafia that was represented there, that was excellent. We had a great time out there.
Matty Ice as well.
Yeah, Matty Ice. My bad, Matty Ice. Yeah, Matty Ice was out there. It was a great time. Honestly, we had a great time out there. It was a great experience before the game. But then we had to go inside, and the game had to be played. The defense was amazing. I think the Buffalo Bills defense was great. I think the question was answered on you guys lost Tremaine Edmonds. What are you going to do? I think Terrell Bernard played pretty well. I have no complaints. He was decent in coverage. He got washed out on a few run plays, but for the most part, I think he did a good job, man. I was, I'm not gonna say I was surprised, but dude played well. Shout out to Terrell Bernard. Coverage was pretty good. I had a hot take on Twitter earlier that week, and I had a hot take earlier that week about Christian Benford putting putting Garrett Wilson in the seatbelt in the car seat. Yo, what is that noise?
Mm-hmm. Is that me?
Is that your fan? Yeah, I think so.
It may have been.
It's all
Okay, sorry.
no. So yeah, Christian Benford started CB2. He looked great. We talked about that last week of him coming in. This being a tough matchup because he's a physical corner, physical zone corner, very good at his job. What was he going to do against Garrett Wilson, one of the best young receivers that we have in the league? I think he did an excellent job. I didn't see him get beat up. I didn't see him get cooked. He gave up a couple plays, but he had a bunch of wins as well. I thought he was sticky. I thought he tackled well. He saved the touchdown, saved 4 points by getting Brees Hall down after that big 80-something yard run. I thought the defensive line was stout. I thought that there were a couple of times we missed some tackles, and that led to some of these bigger plays. Brees Hall shocked the hell out of me. I was surprised for him to come back as good as he did, but the defense, I thought the defense was fine. Pat is asking, how do you feel about Trey White's performance? Yo, Trey White was solid. Like I thought that the defense was good. I thought that Hyde and Poyer looked a little slow, but I'm gonna chalk that up to not a lot of reps in the preseason, and they really need to get into game shape. So I'm hoping that that's what that is, and they'll snap back into what we expect going forward. But I thought the defense was fine. I mean, Josh gave them 4 extra possessions, and we held them to 16 points. Now I know the big story coming out about this game is Aaron Rodgers going down, and what was it, the first, like 4 plays, torn Achilles, out for the year. That's sad. That's not the way that we wanted that game to go. But injuries are part of the game. Beyond, you were at the game as well. What were your viewpoints on the defense?
Well, listen, we did enough to win, right, Whittle? I mean, you said it best. We gave up essentially 16 points, and Josh giving them an extra 4 possessions against that kind of defense. You just can't have it, right? There's no. We're not going to sugarcoat anything here. We love Josh Allen. I love Josh Allen. Okay, but he deserves every bit of criticism for Monday night. He's going to have some bad games, and that was a very poor performance. Now, this is the last 2 times in the Meadowlands, whatever, Jet Life, whatever you want to call it. He's been poor, right? I mean, these are 2 games that all we needed was a game manager.
Please don't call it Jet Life. Please don't do that.
I had to get that in case Petey's listening. I'll get that in there. But but we needed a game. We needed Josh, the game manager, there, right? I mean, you and I felt in the building. I'm sitting there 13-3, and I was talking to a Jet fan next to me, and I said, I feel like we just need 10 points, right? If we just play solid here and just do not turn the ball over, Josh takes what's there. We control the clock. Right, I couldn't see Zach Wilson mustering up 21 plus points on our defense in that second half. There was really no circumstance where I could see that. So, but overall, the defense solid. I agree. I mean, Benford had his Don Beebe moment for all you older Bills fans in the Super Bowl. Remember when he ran down Leon Lett? He came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
That's the kind of hustle. That's what McDermott and the coaching staff sees. I mean, that was a great hustle play. I was very impressed with that. He's fast. His speed was. Like that was phenomenal. So, and I agree, Trey was good. I mean, he was kind of quiet most of the game, but and as Terrell Bernard, I would say he did as good as could be expected for a rookie in that kind of scenario on Monday night in his first game, right? I think we need better from Terrell Bernard, but I don't think he wasn't a massive liability, in the defense, if that makes sense. He was adequate enough in his first start. I think he'll get used to the speed of the game. Get used to, being in that middle linebacker position. I mean, that's just going to take time. So hopefully we win enough games here where he can work out those kinks, and then we'll see a different Terrell Bernard come the second half of the season.
Um, I think we got to wait until week 3 against the Commanders to see. I think that's when we see the real test for Trey and the secondary when you're going up against those receivers out in Washington. They got 3 good ones. So, and Sam Howell's going to throw the football. So those are the guys that I'm worried about. Not that we're not worried about the upcoming opponent, the Raiders. Listen, I'm not saying that. Like the Raiders have some talent, but I think the Raiders with Jimmy G at quarterback are not going to test this secondary the way I think it should be tested until I don't think the secondary will be tested fully until we get to week 3 where I got to go up against Hal and those guys out there. So the O line was another area of concern. How do you feel about the O line and the run game? I'm curious to hear what you have to say about that because I have my own
Sure.
soliloquy on that
I
one.
thought I thought again. I'll say the O line, considering the opponent, considering Monday night, considering the Jets front four. I think they did adequate enough again to win the game. I think Josh sometimes causes some of his problems with when it comes to pass protection. I mean, again, just my vantage point. And sometimes in this game, being there live, it's really hard to kind of really digest. I haven't really had a chance to really deep dive on it yet. Flying back yesterday and getting back into it today, but I thought overall they were again good enough to win. Run game, I was a little puzzled by it at times. I mean, Cook had some moments, but I feel like he wasn't like you see Brees Hall how he just falls forward sometimes. He gets hit and he gets a couple more yards. I feel like Cook doesn't really quite have that in the tool set, at least so far. But where was Damian Harris's game? I guess that was really one of my puzzling things. I mean, even just to see at least 4 or 5 runs from him. I mean, I thought we've talked all season about how he was against the Jets, right? And how he played against New York. Granted, it was on New England, but I was a little disappointed that we didn't see Damian Harris get a little bit more of a bigger role in the running attack in this game, where maybe Cook would be better suited in another matchup. But I'm going to leave that alone for the Ken Dorsey, talk down the line. But what say you, Will?
I thought okay. I'm gonna start with the offensive line because I don't want to go. I don't want to go after the run game yet. I thought the offensive line played pretty well. Given the defense that we went up against, the Jets defense is as good as advertised. Like when people say this Jets defense is one of the best in the league, they're not lying. That pass rush is amazing. Jermaine Johnson is a star. He's a star defensive end that's probably gonna be a household name within the next few years. Quentin Williams should already be a household name. If you pay attention to football, you know about Q. That just Jesus Christ, they're good, man. Like that's a really, really good front. That's a really, really good front four, man. And they rotate guys in and out, and the reserves played solid as well. The run game. I think Dorsey called a very good game yesterday. Or Monday. I'm sorry, it's Wednesday. I didn't love running out of the shotgun as much as we did. I would love to see us run from under center a lot more. I think we could set up some play action there. I think that forces teams to put bodies in the box, which gives us better options going to our, if we're going to get the purpose of getting this 12 personnel and signing a guy like Damian Harris and Latavius Murray is to run the football. Biggest drive that, kind of was a microcosm of the game. Just really, really infuriated me was 1st and 10. hand off to Latavius Murray, 5-yard gain. 2nd and 5, hand off to Latavius Murray, 3-yard gain. It's 3rd and 2. We're in shotgun, bro. And I think it was an empty set.
Yep. Do you
What are
can I
we
ask
doing?
you, Whittle?
Like that,
Do you
just
think?
come on,
Yeah.
bro. And it's after. Well, hold on. This was after multiple turnovers. This was after multiple turnovers already. And I'm just like, what are we doing, man? But go ahead. What was your question, bro?
No worries, Whittle. I just a question for you. Getting to that shotgun, do you think it was Dorsey's because of the Jets' ferocious front four? Let's just call it what it is. It was because of that. Like, for example, against other teams coming up that maybe don't have that same front four that the Jets do. Do you think we will see more under center for Josh? They'll work that in as the season goes along. Because that was my first thought about it. Because I was kind of waiting for it. Then, do you think this is what they're going to be doing all year?
Yeah, it was what we did last year too. Go back to the Ravens game, same thing. Go back to the Miami game, same thing. Go to the what else? Who did we play out of conference last year? It was the
Minnesota
early in the Chicago game. Yeah, early in the Chicago game. Green Bay, same thing. A lot of shotgun, a lot of handing. Like if we're running it, we're handing it off out of the shotgun, and that's it. I don't like it. I think that he's trying to. I think he's trying to hand the ball off, let the defensive line over pursue, and then run past him instead of trying to create displacement with your offensive line. I think he's just trying to get the ball and get past those guys. So now we're dealing with second level defenders and not really not dealing with the defensive line. I didn't like that. I didn't like it. I'm not gonna ever like it. But this is what Ken Dorsey does. I'm not a fan of it. Yeah, I'm not a fan of it. I'm not a fan of Ken Dorsey, but that's another conversation for another day, right?
We'll table that for later in the season, right?
Yeah. I hope that this is just a situation where I hope this is just a situation where it's week 1. We're not really sure how we're going to use Harris and Latavius Murray fully yet. We want to go with what we have and what we're comfortable with using against a divisional opponent. I hope that we see newer looks or more look, a variation of looks in the Raiders game coming up. And last but not least, 17 played absolutely terrible. Okay. When it comes to ball security, 1 fumble, 3 interceptions, 1 touchdown, 230 something yards or whatever it was. Who cares? He had 4 turnovers on his own, and they were mind-boggling. The first 2 interceptions, you just don't make those throws, man. You just don't. The first one, you're rolling left. You need 10. You need, what was it? Third and 8. You need 8 yards for the first down. Just go for it, bro. All the defenders in the middle of the field and on the right side of the field. You got one guy to beat in this, and that's DJ Reed. He's a corner. You've run over linebackers before. Like, just get the first down and another set. Let's just move forward. He didn't do it. The guy takes Josh throws the ball to Hardy, 5'6", cross body throw to the other side of the field, like 45, 50 yards down the field into double coverage, interception. Those were drive killers. We lost this game because of Josh Allen, 100%.
And it wasn't. You know what? It's funny about it, you mentioned the stats, right? We knew Josh Allen wasn't going to put up 350, 400 on this defense, right? But if I told you he was 29 to 41 for 236, okay, the yards are a little bit lower than we were for 41 attempts, right? That's really what we needed to win this game. That line right there. And if you, like you said, if we mixed in a little more Damian Harris and a little more Latavius Murray, we added maybe 20, 25 yards to each of their ledger on the running side, right? That would have been enough if you take that 3 up there in the top, right under that Jet logo, and make that a 1. Let's just say 1. Let's say, Josh throws a pick. He does once in a while. You got to live with it, right? But it was, and the fumble. That's another thing too. We talked about the fumbles all season, little bit. But he's got to get better with that. He's got to take care of the football. Those are just things that he could control, and I know he knows this. But it just felt. It is only week 1, but it just felt so much more magnified considering the opponent. Considering the stakes, considering the division. But we still have to keep in mind it is week 1, and I'm just as guilty of it as anybody. I went off the ledge a little bit after the game. It just felt a lot worse than a lot of other week 1 losses.
Hey, check this out. So we had two design run plays by Josh Allen. That's it. Just 2. The other 4 were scrambles, man. We can't control that. That's just part of his game. We had our guest here, and then he stepped off for a second. I'm gonna try to get him back because there he is. All right, he's back. We gotta watch that game away, man. Like, go down to what is it? What did Prince say? You gotta watch yourself in the waters of Lake Minnetonka. Take this game, throw it in the lake, and throw it in Lake Erie. Take this game, this performance from Josh, throw it in Lake Erie. Never forget about it, but throw it in Lake Erie, let it go, and let's just move on. And with that being said, we have a guest today. He's a Raiders fan, obviously. We like to do that. We like to bring guests in that for the team that we're going up against. Extremely knowledgeable gentleman. I have sat in his spaces for hours and just listened. And some of y'all that know me from Twitter know that I will talk about football all day long, but I can go to this man's space and listen and not only be entertained with some of the antics that go on, but just like genuine understanding of the game, a genuine ability to break the game down. And and just talk about the space. Like, if I'm not in one of our spaces, one of our build spaces, or Guru's join or something like that, like I'm going to Gridiron Bullies. He's one of the co-founders of the Gridiron Bullies. Let's bring him to the stage. We got Gridiron Brink in the building. Thank you for joining us, sir. How are you tonight?
What's going on, brothers? How y'all doing, man? Y'all good?
Good. Very good. Thanks for
joining us. Yeah, man, we good, man. I mean, we kind of good, not really good, but we kind of good. We 0-1 right now.
Lukewarm.
I feel you. Believe me. Trust me. I've been there.
No, I understand. I understand.
So I appreciate y'all having me, man. I used to live in the 716, so I got a lot of friends that are avid followers. So I went to quite a few Bills games when I was there. So I understand the passion that comes from the people that follow that team. So it's an honor to be on here with y'all, man.
Hey, man, it's an honor to have you, man. I appreciate you on such short notice. I was trying to think. I was racking my brain, like trying to figure out, like, yo, who is a Ravens fan? I mean, a Raiders fan. Who's a Raiders fan that I know? And I mean, I know a Raiders fan, but I ain't bringing him on. You know who I'm talking about. The Pac-12 king. I'm not bringing him on, but
there you go.
Shout out to New Level, man. But no, I ain't bringing you on, bro. But I
was trying to through that one.
Yeah, right, yeah. I was trying to I was racking my brain trying to figure it out, and then Tina was like, Brink is a Raiders fan, right? Like, Gridiron. Oh yeah. So immediately that's when I reached out, man, and I was glad that you was able to come through. So let's get into it, man. Talk to us about your Raiders. Y'all 1-0. Number 1 in the AFC West right now.
Number
the AFC West leaders. Let's talk about it, okay? Not the Chiefs, not the Chargers. The Raiders. Okay?
Hey.
All right. So
Look, man.
talk to us, bro. Talk to us about the Raiders, man.
So, I ain't gonna lie. When they made the Jimmy Garoppolo signing, and all signs, in February and early March were pointing towards him being the guy, I wasn't thrilled. Just because I'm a Derek Carr guy.
Right.
Through and through. I'm a Derek Carr guy. You know what I'm saying? That dude took snap after snap, hit after hit for us, both on the field and off the field, from fans, from non-fans. So, I wanted him as the quarterback for the Raiders. But you know what I'm saying, everything changes. There's always a change in regime. So sometimes it's better for him as a player and for us as an organization to move forward with, a different route. And that makes sense. Because clearly something wasn't working. Jimmy is he's obviously a vet. He has worked with McDaniels before. Obviously things have changed since he left New England and went to San Fran, but the basis of that offense is still going to be pretty much the same. A lot of the lingo will still be the same. So, it makes sense as a bridge situation because they're still overturning that roster. We've got, I think, maybe a dozen players or less than a dozen now, actually, after the 53 of guys that were on that roster 2 years ago, when they made the playoffs. And then McDaniels took over the following offseason. But from all indications, Jimmy's come in and just became one of the guys. Like, everybody's accepted him, put the arm around him. He's the leader of the offense. Max Crosby being the face and clearly the vocal and visual leader of the team has wrapped his arms around him and said, "That's our guy. He's a dog." So, hey, and Max I trust.
Right.
The offensive line stood up on going back to Sunday's game against the Broncos. The offensive line did really well. Allowed Jimmy to drop back, make his read 1-2, get out with the ball, make quick decisions. The only really poor decision that I can point to that Jimmy clearly made wrong was the interception in the red zone, where he tried to force a ball in and it got tipped and got intercepted.
Yeah, I don't like to give tips. I don't like to give tipped interceptions to the quarterback. I mean, it's a lot of traffic. It just is one of those things that happen. But you spoke about Jimmy G and his familiarity with McDaniels, which obviously was probably part of the reason that they went out to go and get him. And we talked about beating the Broncos. A lot of people say, "Yo, Sean Payton is here now. The Broncos, now it's time. They got their guy at coach. He's going to change. He's going to change Russ around. Russ is going to be great. Yada yada yada." And we haven't seen it. We just haven't seen it. But what we did see was this young Raiders team go out there and get a W in week 1 and running the division right now. About those young Raiders, talk to us a little bit about some of the standout guys. Me personally, I follow the draft kind of closely. So, I know you guys picked up Dylan Parham out of Memphis. Not less this past draft, but the year before. And I want to say Thayer Mumford from Ohio State as well is on the team. Yeah.
Yep.
So those are two guys that I paid attention to because Buffalo Bills, we've been looking for offensive line help since Brandon Beane and McDermott got here. But those are two of the guys that stood out to me. I know you guys had some missed picks recently as well, like Colin Farrell really didn't work out. And then there was the safety. I can't remember. I can't place his name right now, but it was a safety.
Jonathan Abrams.
Yeah, Jonathan Abrams. He didn't work out. I mean, big hitter, but he didn't work out for you guys yet. Nope. He didn't work out for you guys. But talk to us about the Raiders, the young Raiders that we don't know. that you look at standouts?
So, going into this year's draft, when they selected Tyree Wilson, I honestly did not know a whole lot about Tyree Wilson. He got the injury like midway through the season last year at Texas Tech. So, there wasn't as much tape on him from late in the season. But after the pick was made, I spent a lot of the rest of that night watching a lot of clips. And he's a great piece to learn behind Max Crosby because he's a high motor guy.
Yep.
He's long armed, he's tall, he's relentless. We didn't get to see that on Sunday as much because he's still working his way into football shape because he missed the majority of camp. He got back on the field right before the last preseason game against Dallas. The last one against Dallas, I believe. Yeah. So, he hasn't gotten the reps to get back fully into shape yet. Obviously, they were playing at altitude in Mile High, so I think that might have taken a little zip out of his sails. That'll do it to you, even mid-season when you're in great shape. With conditioning. But I'm excited to see him. Like I said, exactly, especially opposite Max, because Max is gonna go. He gonna go. There ain't no doubt. As soon as he snap that chin strap, Max is going. Devon Deablo, who was a safety converted to linebacker, he got hurt last year. He was showing some glimpses, and he played really well this past week. So I'm excited to see him improve. Not necessarily a young guy. He's younger, but he's been in the league for a few years. Marcus Epps came over from the Eagles, and I believe logged the most snaps of all the Eagles secondary. So he's, a guy who he may not be flashy. He may not be somebody you tune in to necessarily watch, but he's a strong force back there, especially when we have Trayvon Warwick, who is still developing in him, himself. And they have become really good, from everything. They've become really good friends, on and off the field. So, he's a new guy that I'm really excited to see him as a leader in our secondary. And then you throw in, obviously, Jacorian Bennett from Maryland, who, like most of them dudes from Maryland, I'm not sure what the strength and conditioning coach do, or
all the boys fast.
They can go.
Yep.
So, I'm excited to see how he continues to play. I was thinking like, this would be a good year for him to develop, but he's logging snaps because he's proven, that he's not going to back down from anybody.
Now they moved him to safety, right? They moved him to safety because he was a corner.
He's playing corner.
Oh, okay. My fault. All right.
So the trio really at corner is Nate Hobbs, who's been there a few years. He struggled some last year. You got Jacorian Bennett, and then you've got, the old Wiley vet, Oakland guy himself, and Marcus Peters.
Right.
So, they're shaping up to have a really good group back there to develop along, with the vets. So,
yeah, I remember Divine Deablo from this is probably going to sound funny, but I think this was maybe 2 years ago. One of my buddies was doing a Madden league or something. And he's doing a Madden league. He was doing his draft, and he's like, "Yo, I need to pick a linebacker, man." And I'm like, "All right." I just went and checked everybody with the highest speed that was still available at linebacker, and this guy Devon Deablo pops up. So I was like, "All right, we'll just grab him." Yo, he was showing out for him. In the video game, he was showing out. But I had to go and actually take a look at this guy play. Yo, he is sideline to sideline. That guy is. He is tough. Now, if he can stay healthy, man, that guy could really be a force. especially when you put him behind. Especially when you put him behind Tyree Wilson and Max Crosby. But we talked about Jimmy G. We talked a little bit about the offensive line. We know about Davante Adams. You know, top 5, top 3 receiver, and he ain't number 3. Let's just get that out there right now. People going to try to put Jamar Chase over him or Tyreek Hill. Nah, son. Maybe Justin Jefferson. Maybe Jettis.
Yeah, that's where the conversation starts.
Right. It's close. Like they 1A and 1B right there. Davante is all world. You guys have the reincarnation of Cole Beasley and Hunter Renfrow. I like him. He's he's an extremely good route runner. Solid hands. I'm not a fan of the ball security. But I think he's an excellent player. Michael Mayer, you guys drafted for tight end, and
I did forget about him.
Yeah, guy out of Notre Dame. Solid pickup. I'm not sure about the athleticism, but he's an old school tight end, inline guy. Yep. He's gonna run block. He's gonna make himself available. Show you the numbers, 5 to 7 yards. He's gonna take the catch. He's gonna take the hit, and he's gonna get you tough yards. I like that. I like that pickup, especially for a quarterback like Jimmy G, who you don't want to have him sitting back there with the ball in his hands a ton. You want him to get the ball out quick. That's the perfect guy that you can. Hey, what's up, Sean Williams? One of my military buddies popped in. I appreciate you for coming through, man. Don't talk to me about no Super Bowl. You were Saints fan, okay? Let's leave that alone. We'll leave that there. And then you signed Jacoby Myers from the Patriots. So
huge game on Sunday.
Yes, like this is I know what the Raiders record was last year. This is not the Arizona Cardinals. No disrespect to the Cardinals. This is a Raiders team with a lot of talent. And if Josh McDaniels can be a good coach for this team can make noise. We don't love the defensive tackle depth. We don't love the defensive tackle unit yet. But there's no reason why the edges and that linebacker unit and that secondary and those receivers and that quarterback and that offensive line, who I think is shaping up pretty well, there's no reason why they can't compete this year. And I think they will be in a lot of games. I want to talk about some, every team has their drama. Every team does. So let's talk a little bit about Chandler Jones and Josh Jacobs. Now, the last I heard about Josh Jacobs did he sign the franchise tag? You guys franchised him or what?
So basically, yes and kind of no. It's along the lines of that, like Saquon deal, where they tagged him and then they basically redid a 1-year deal for more than the tag, and then included a few incentives on the top of it. So he's, I think the tag was like 10.8, something in that range. And I think his end deal ends up being like up to 12 million. So, they threw a little bit extra. From all signs, from what everybody is saying now, there's like no hard feelings that, he understands, what the team's trying to accomplish. And he said even towards the end of last year and the first part of the offseason before they tagged him, like, he's willing to be the good guy. I think his words were, I'll be the good guy, but don't mistake that I can also turn villain.
Right.
Meaning like, I'm willing to work with the team to make the team better, but I'm not going to sacrifice on my end if the team's not meeting their end and doing what they need to do to make the team better. So, and that's reasonable. I mean, you can't be mad at that man for that.
That's fair.
That's
fair. That's fair.
Him and he said that McDaniels is like the sharpest football mind that he's been around to this point, in his career, through college and now in the NFL. McDaniel says he loves, his work ethic. So it seems like everybody's getting along right now. We'll see what happens, January, February, and next year. But,
All right. Chris Smith. I liked him. I like Trey Tucker as well. Trey Tucker out of Cincinnati, wide receiver. I'm looking, man. Y'all got Jacory Bennett in the 4th round. Aiden O'Connell was tough too, man. Quarterback out of Purdue. I liked him coming out.
Mm-hmm.
I liked Chris Smith too. Like that's the kid from Georgia,
Yeah.
right? I liked him,
Yeah.
man. I liked him. Like, is he going to see snaps at safety or at the slot or is there a plan for him yet?
So early on in camp, there was some buzz about him making some plays. In the early stages of camp. Because honestly, there was some talk from a few of the guys that are at the practice, the beat writers, saying that Trevon Moore actually was not making the plays to the level of some of the other safeties. That he was there,
right,
but he wasn't making plays. So there was, kind of some thought, I think, at some point that Chris Smith might challenge him, but it seems like some of that's died down, and he's going to be probably more of a special teams development guy this year. But I mean, he's got the pedigree. I mean, he played for 2 national championship, great defenses, right?
Yep.
So,
yep.
Absolutely.
All right. Okay, so we got 0-1 Buffalo, home opener. The Raiders are coming into Orchard Park, Highmark. The crowd's going to be crazy. Josh is right. Of course it is. Might be a few dildos get thrown out. I don't know. Hope not. It should be an early game, so we may avoid that this year. Josh can't wait to get back on the field, especially after that performance Monday night. What are your keys? What do you think the Raiders have to do to get out of Orchard Park with a W?
As I was watching the game on Monday night, I was like, man, he gonna have this sort of game right before we come to town. That's really what he gonna do. Because thoughts in my mind is like, all right, he not the type of dude that's gonna lay down or start feeling the pity party. He gonna come back and he gonna want to put 4 up the other way. You know what I'm saying? So, the one thing the Jets clearly have that not many other teams have is that depth along the front line, where they can bring 6 or 7 dudes at you relentlessly through, every down after down after down. We have Max Crosby, Tyree Wilson on the edges, but our middle is the suspect part of our defense. So the key is going to be, can they get any sort of pressure and force him into maybe some bad decision or some rush decision? Because our secondary, we are pretty good as starters, but once you get past the starting unit, pretty much across the board on our defense, I ain't gonna lie to you, it's not as good, no ways as good, honestly, as what the Jets have. So defensively, they got to get pressure, preferably up the middle, but I don't know if that's going to happen with, like I said, our defensive tackles. On the offensive side of the ball, they got to move. They got to stay ahead of 6. They got to keep Josh Jacobs, Zamir White. They got to roll them guys and get them going to kind of put y'all's defense on its heels a little bit, so they can't attack. Because y'all's defense, when they're attacking, just about as good as any in the league. So it's that's really the key. Jacoby Myers likely will not be there because he's in concussion protocol. So we might see more from Hunter Renfrow. And Davante didn't have a great game on Sunday. So it'll be interesting to see if they figure out a way to get him more involved, especially if Jacoby's not there.
Right. That was the guy I forgot. Zamir White. I liked him coming out of school too.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that y'all were gonna kind of let Josh walk because of Zamir White, but that season that Josh Jacobs had last year, man. I mean, you kind of got to sign him after that. I feel like.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, when you assert yourself as a top 3 running back in the NFL, like no team is letting that walk out of the building, not for free at least. So,
no.
I think it kind of screwed things up. There was a succession plan in place, but sorry, Jameer, you got to wait a few more years, man. This guy Josh Jacobs is one of them ones. I agree. I think that the Bills have shown a propensity to give up big runs on the ground. We're not a great tackling team. I think that we're a stout team. I do think that we put defensive players in the right place. They just don't consistently make the plays, and that does hurt us from time to time. With that being said, though, like Breece Hall ran the ball, 10 carries, 127 yards or something like that, and it looks great when you look at it that way. But then when you actually get into the runs and you see, wow, he had 1 for 83, and I can go back and pull that up on the all 22 and show you that Trey White missed a tackle and he took off on us. Then you go back and look at the second big run. It was a 26-yarder where there was another tackle missed right at the line of scrimmage, and off he goes. So I think that we'll do a good job. I think that the Bills have to win this game. You cannot start the season 0-2 and then go up against another defensive front like Washington has in week 3, and then another big, huge divisional game against the AFC East champions of this year, because week 1 they won and they did it with a lot of points. The Miami Dolphins. Everybody loves Miami. I'm telling y'all, Miami is fool's gold. I know that there's some Miami fans that are gonna listen to this from Twitter, bro. I'm sorry. Like, y'all look good offensively every year, bro, and it just, I don't believe in y'all. But
hey, man, they gave up. I mean, what did they give up? 220 on the ground.
I believe so.
Like
yeah.
That.
Oh yeah.
220 range. I mean, you get Eckler with like $127. Then the other cat had.
And it's Eckler. It's Eckler. Like, I love Eckler.
You don't run between the tackles like that,
right? Yeah. So, what you think Damian Harris and Latavius Murray going to do if Dorsey gives him the ball? If he gives him the ball,
that's what I hope you don't figure that out until next week. Is it just keep giving y'all's backs the ball?
I'm not gonna lie to you, man. He might not figure it out.
Yeah. Hey, Gridiron. I was when I was looking at the Raiders, right, and thinking about the offseason, there were some people saying, oh, maybe they're in the Caleb Williams watch from USC, right? And then I started doing a little deeper dive on the Raiders, right? And you look at, okay, they bring in Jimmy G, solid QB. Then you got Davante Adams, and you got Josh Jacobs. You know what I mean? And you keep going down, you look at the roster, and then even looking at the season you guys had last year, well, this team only lost 2 games by over double digits. They lost 5 games by 3 points or less. I think some teams lose 5 games by 7 points. You guys lost 5 by 3 points or less. I mean, you had some incredible swing of games last year. I mean, the New England game was the standout to me as one of the craziest plays I've ever seen to date. But what's your expectations going into the season? Considering, because I think they're a lot better. I think we'll into that. And I think those fans should be a little cautious this week. It may, we may be expecting, the Bills are going to break out and win by 20, 25 points. I'm really not so sure that's going to happen. So I just wanted to get your expectations on where you are going forward with the 2023 Raiders.
So going into the season, I had us as like a 6-win team. And that was assuming that Jacobs might sit the first 3 to 4 weeks of the season. You know, when they signed him and said, he was going to be ready and available week 1, I bumped that up and I said, okay, we might be able to get 8 wins. And I honestly still think that's right around the sweet spot for our season. But it only takes 1 or 2 bounces to go your way for that to change, and you can be 9 or 10 wins. Because the year before we lost Gruden, we had the Ruggs situation, we had a Damon Arnett situation, and still ended up in the playoffs. And honestly, were maybe a bad call on that blown whistle against the Bengals in the wild card round from pushing them potentially to knock them out. So and then the
I
next
wish
season,
I had
like
knocked them out.
Me too.
Yeah,
man.
we were rooting for you, Gridiron. We were really
Believe
rooting
me,
for you.
I wanted that one bad. But it's one of those things, man. That's the NFL, man. You legitimately look at the Vikings. The Vikings were the kings of last minute. My bad, I didn't mean to bring that up. I just realized it's probably not a good
We know
subject.
all about it.
But it's one of the things where clearly, you can have a team that starts to win those games down the stretch, and they rack up 3 or 4 of those in the season. The next thing you know, you look at me like, how the heck did they win 12 games? How did they win 13 games? And they gave up massive amounts of points, but it just a few things went their way. A bounce here, a bounce there, a miss snap, a tip pass, whatever. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I mean, could we potentially make the playoffs? Yeah, without a doubt. But I'm not putting a whole lot of stock in waiting for the wouldas, couldas to happen.
Absolutely. So I noticed on the depth chart, is that Greg Van Rotten starting for the Raiders this week? Little at right guards. That's the old Bill coming back into town.
Yeah.
Old Bill, old Jet.
Yeah.
Probably going to be old Raider when they draft his replacement this year.
I honestly wish we got Osiris Torrance, but y'all snapped him up. We moved up and got Michael Mayer, and I was thinking we're in a sweet spot. We can get Torrance right where we were at. But when they moved up, I got Michael Mayer. I'm like, okay, I kind of get that. But I love Torrance throughout the whole season. I'm a big AR fan, so I watched a lot of AR that last year at Florida, and then I'm like, whoa, who's that guard that's putting in work against Georgia? That's that line that D line that Georgia got. Like, oh, okay. So yeah, so I think y'all got a gem there.
Oh, I agree with you. Bills fans, notice he didn't say anything about Justin Shorter, right? He said nothing about Justin Shorter. There's a reason. Let's
just say Whittle's not a fan.
Not a fan of that pick. Not a fan of that pick at all. A lot of directions we could have gone in the 5th round. Justin Shorter wasn't one that I had planned on trying to stomach. Anyway, since we're talking about Buffalo, the game is going to be in Buffalo. We're talking about the Raiders coming to Buffalo. I have to mention, I have to bring up the Western New York native, Chandler Jones. And bro, what are y'all doing to my guy, man? What's going on out there? His key fob not working? What's up with the Chandler Jones situation?
No one really knows. I don't think no one truly knows. Obviously the Raiders aren't saying what's going on. Right. They're keeping it close to the vest. No one in Chandler Jones' camp seems to be saying anything either. You know, the good news is it's been pretty quiet since last Thursday or Friday. You know, he's released a few screenshots of text. But it seems like the last one I think was the Mark Davis set, where Mark Davis was like, you know, I care about you more as a person than I do a player. You know, and that's really where I stand with it too. I'm like, you know, if whatever is kind of going on, you know, I just hope he's good and he's in a good place. You know,
Right.
because you know that's the most important thing. I mean, the game is the game, but you know, making sure you know he's good on a personal level is most important. You know, to me, you know, but I would love to see him on the field because I think we need him, especially against like his run stopping presence. Because while he doesn't have sack numbers last season before he got injured, he did have some pressures, but against the run, you can't take anything away from him. So you know, some of Max Crosby's pressures and tackles for losses were clearly because he set the edge on the opposite side, and Max just ran stuff down.
Now, I watched the Marcus Allen documentary, and I looked and I saw the dynamic between him and Al Davis and the Raiders and all those different things. And I immediately I was like, can I make the correlation here with Chandler Jones and Marcus Allen? But I don't think so. Like, I don't think that this is that type of a situation either. I don't think that the Raiders organization runs that way now. My dog is get out of here. What are you doing? My dog's acting up right now. So yeah, I do hope I hope Chandler Jones is okay. We lose way too many people, and not just football players. We lose way too many people to suicide because they're not talking. And I'm never gonna dance around the terms or the words or the message on this podcast. So if those type of things offend you, this probably isn't for you. But we're just gonna keep it real here. I hope he's okay. And that's excellent of Mark Davis to let him know that, because sometimes that's enough. Somebody has to just tell you, that I care, and that may be the difference between them taking their own life and them pushing forward and fighting through it. So kudos to him. Best of luck. If you want to stick around, you can, but we don't want to hold you any longer. If you want to check out of here, but we're gonna move on to the next segment and kind of just go over some of the things that are Buffalo specific and not necessarily 100% football related. It's up to you, brother.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go listen and take a few notes.
Okay, before you do, is there anything that you want to plug to the listeners, to the people? Right now we only got 4 people checking it right now. We just started this a few weeks ago. We got about 75 or so subscribers, and we do a decent amount. We do a decent amount of views for a brand new podcast. So, somebody, and I'm not trying to toot my own, but you know how our followings are on Twitter. So you know what I'm saying? Like, they will come. You know what I mean? So if there's anything you want to plug and push out there, bro, please, definitely. We love to see it.
Well, we are live pretty much Monday through Friday on Twitter, on Spaces. I'm at Gridiron Brink. D Money is the head of the crew. T Smith and Spody. My brother Reese, Chef. We're always there. Monday through Friday, we typically run just about all day, and keep the topics going. We don't focus on just our teams. We try to focus on every team in the league. If anybody is interested, hop on Twitter Spaces and look us up. Like I said, I'm at Gridiron Brink, and we keep it fun, man. We try to keep it entertaining. We've got our few moments with us, some dust ups and some arguments, but hey, it's all family, it's all love at the end of the day, man. You know how it is.
Yeah, and sometimes that's Czar's fault, but we're not going to jump on that, man. Sometimes that can be Czar's fault. Czar will jump on this.
Look, if you are not a Raiders fan, but you have ever come into contact with Czar, we've done the whole Twitter community a favor. He cannot get a mic in any space this week because he guaranteed that the Raiders were going to get swept by the Broncos. So we took care of that week.
Really? Because listen, man, Brink, I'm glad you brought that up because he's been in Twitter Spaces running his mouth over the last few days. Yeah, that's okay. Oh. Now we know. Yeah, he did. Yeah. He failed to share that information. Now we know. All right, Czar, got your number now, dog. But hey, listen, Brink, man, do y'all have like a podcast or something coming soon? Like, if not,
we're in the process of working on all of that.
Yeah, definitely keep us updated on that.
I figured that, yeah, because like I said, man, y'all have a space that I can come into and just listen, and I don't have to be a part of it in order for, and I love that because the conversation, like you said, it keeps going. It's a high level football conversation. It's entertaining, and I mean, yeah, man, like I like what y'all got going over there. Spody get a little spicy every now and then, but we're gonna see Spody in them. We're gonna see Spody in them in a few weeks too. So
yeah. So, but yeah, we have a college dedicated college afternoons for all the college football fans on Wednesdays and Fridays. Reese, Coach B, and Chef devote a lot of energy towards that. We give a lot of look to HBCUs and talk about some of the big games in the HBCU world that don't necessarily get the shine. Like the quarterback from North Carolina Central. Check him out. He'll be playing against UCLA this week. That might be an interesting game that a lot of people might not expect them to do as well in, but I think they're going to have a good showing. But yeah, we talk a lot about that on Wednesdays and Fridays. So
I'm gonna definitely pull up to that. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna pull up to that one on Friday because we're gonna dedicate some off season time to the to the draft prospects and things like that. Mm-hmm. So we're gonna soak in as much information as possible and make sure that we do our due diligence to put our best foot forward and give people an intelligent listen. Thank you again, Brink. I'm gonna move you down to out the studio for now, bro. And thank you again for coming in. I appreciate you coming in short notice. Ladies and gentlemen, Gridiron Brink, one of the members of the Gridiron Bullies. Again, like he said, he runs a great space. Y'all got to check it out. Definitely check it out if you're on Twitter Spaces.
Come on in, have a few laughs with us. You know what I'm saying? We
will join you. Yeah, I'll get in there too, Gridiron.
You will laugh. I can promise you if you get in that space and you stay for more than 10 minutes, you're gonna get a laugh or two in there for sure. Because somebody gonna say something. If T. Smith might be whispering and packing somebody up, or Spody is on level 10 going at somebody's neck. Whatever it is, you're gonna get entertained for sure. And it's a great intelligent space as well. Once again, Gridiron Brink, man, thanks, bro. Feel free to listen. Thank you. All right, that was Brink, man. And I'm not just saying it because he's here. He can vouch for that. I've been in the spaces. He has a mod. What's his name though? Ahmad Hawkins. My fault. My Hawkins, he has him in the States often as well too. Former NFL cornerback, does a bunch of stuff in the VA community. I've been talking to him about putting something together on Kaya Elam that's coming soon as well. Like, I got to get with him on that. But yeah. So the Bills, terrible loss. We played well enough to win. We should have won, but there are other pressing issues that are happening with this team right now. Our owner, Terry Pagula, is under investigation for some comments that were made. Allegedly, there's a lawsuit out there saying that he made some racist comments. These are allegations. Nothing has been proven, and it is a civil case. It is not it's not a criminal case. It's not anything like that. It's just civil. Brian, do you have any thoughts? Because I do.
I mean, listen, I always start with this, right? No matter what it is, I just hope and pray the truth comes out. And even if he's our owner, right? Because if that is true, and I'm not going to repeat what was said because it's just something not worth repeating to me, right? That's because it was just so derogatory. It's just not something that's acceptable in any society, right? If it turns out to be true, then Terry Pagula deserves everything that's going to come his way. Let's just get it out there. We have to be consistent, right? I know Terry Pagula's done a great job as a Bills owner. We care. We like Terry Pagula, generally speaking. I mean, but none of us can pretend we know this person, right? We don't know these people at their core. So, but when these things come up, you just let the process play out, right? We'll see what's what, and again, if this was the owner of the Bengals, if this was the owner of the Cowboys, well, the owner of the Cowboys was also involved with this too, right? If I'm staying correct on that,
yes.
Whittle, so he's involved. So like what we saw with Dan Snyder, what we saw with the guy that owned the Clippers, his name's escaping.
Donald Sterling.
Right, yep. Donald Sterling. These things have to be taken seriously, and I want to know if it's true or not. Now, and there's no place for it. But it's unacceptable if true. But again, we don't want to rush to judgment. That's the number one thing I could say. So that's where I stand with it. It's just one of those things that after a loss, you're like, oh man, But this is a whole other serious topic. This goes beyond football. So I would love to hear your thoughts on this
one. Probably the politically correct thing for me to do right now is just to say that let's wait for the truth to come out, and I am going to say that. But the likelihood of this being somewhat true is always there. The likelihood of a story popping up out of nowhere, the saying it says where there's smoke, there's fire. All right, in this situation here, the likelihood of it being true, I think, elevates because you're talking about a 70-plus-year-old billionaire white man. He fits the description. I'm not saying that it's true, but
you're not getting any pushback from me on that whatsoever.
If I was a police officer, he would be a suspect on my list if this was a something I was investigating. But no, to be honest, I don't want to believe it because not because he's the owner, but because the team came, like we had the shooting. There was a shooting at the Top supermarket before last season started, and a number of African American residents were killed just by a random white guy who just didn't like black people. Drove up there,
targeting them.
Drove up to the supermarket because he wanted to kill black people, and that's what he did. So he made the team available for that. He provided a lot of mental health benefits and things like that for the residents in the area. A lot of aid, a lot of money that he didn't have to put out there. Not just that, but when they had the team had their press conference out there and they spoke with the residents and the media and things like that. Terry Pagula didn't have to speak. He had made his team available. He provided the financial support, et cetera, et cetera. He didn't have to speak. but he chose to anyway. That means something to me. If it comes out that it's true, I would be surprised. I don't want to believe that it's true, but man, like if like I don't want to believe it because when he spoke in front of the media out there after the top shooting, he seemed genuine. He seemed genuinely broken up about it, and I don't want to believe that that's not true. So we'll wait for that to shake out, and let's talk about the media and what's going on with the way that the Buffalo Bills are being portrayed. They think we're done. They think the window's closed. The money is going towards Miami. Oh my God, they put up all of these points against the Chargers, who kept giving Tyreek Hill one-on-one matchup without safety help over top. What do you expect? Like, he's gonna burn you. They gave up 466. They got 466 yards on the Charger in the air alone. Tyreek had over 200 yards. I think he had multiple touchdowns as well. Bro, it's just I don't believe it. The media sometimes just needs things to talk about, and right now the Bills are an easy target because Josh is turning the ball over, and we haven't won a Super Bowl. We haven't even been to a Super Bowl. The Bengals have. They've been to the Super Bowl. They didn't win, so they're better than us. And according to the media, the Eagles went to the Super Bowl. They didn't win, so they're better than us too. Oh, and their quarterbacks are all better than Josh Allen as well, who at this point I don't even think people have him in the top 5 anymore. Just stand on this at the end of when all the smoke clears and the dust settles at the end of the season, and Buffalo is standing there, a top 3 seed. Just make sure y'all stand on everything you're talking about now, okay? Don't back off of it and say I always believed in the Bills. We're circling the wagons up here, and you guys are on the outside of that circle until further notice. What do you got for the media, Beyond? Anything at all, or do you just want to just say?
Well, listen, it's kind of funny you mentioned the window closed. I mean, in a pit of frustration, even I was starting to wonder, walking out of that stadium, because you know how you felt after that game, right? I mean, we were in the building, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that was as intense of a crowd when it comes to enthusiasm, noise that I've ever heard any NFL game I've ever been to. And I'm almost 50. I've been to many, many games, right? That place was on fire, to say the least, right? So walking out of there, you start wondering, wait a minute, is this really? I mean, is all the stuff they've been saying true, right? Is our window closing, right? You start getting a little angry and you're festering. You know how it is, right? You got the flight home, and then you start pausing. You're like, listen, Kansas City lost week 1, Cincinnati lost week 1. Cincinnati started 0-2 last year, right? I mean, we talked about this earlier. So it doesn't mean our window's closed, but yes, should our alarm go off a little bit when it comes to the Bills? Yeah, maybe so. We've seen this a couple of times now with the Bills against the Jets, right? Is it a pattern? Is this, we're going to have to make some adjustments. This is where coaching's going to come into play. And this is where, of course, it's going to come from number 17, right? He has to also be the one, or a coach has to get him in the right mindset to do that. But about the media, yeah, listen, we're the hot topic. We're the team they're after. Every year they pick one, right? I mean, you see this whole, because all the Diggs stuff is still out there. Heck, we had the story with Maddie Glad with the whole thing with her mic was on about what she was saying about Stephon Diggs. That was another thing today. I mean, how many things are gonna happen this week, right? So remember we spoke about the culture, right? We always hear about being McDermott, the culture, the locker room. Like, this is the biggest stress test they have ever felt since they've been here. All the stuff that's going on, all the outside noise, the media, the whole whatever you believe about things, right? I'm not saying anything whatsoever. Just talk about all the things that are coming, the arrows that are coming again towards Josh Allen. Right? Is the window closing? Maybe McDermott should be on the hot seat. I mean, there's all kinds of things we're hearing, right? We're going to find out a lot about this team coming up, and it's just put up or shut up time now. In terms of that. So listen, we win this week. We get it done in Washington. We get it done against Miami at home. You watch how fast everything changes.
Yeah, you're right. And I don't care. I'm still gonna be mad. I'm still gonna feel slighted. And that's, in my opinion, exactly where you want to be as a Bills fan. You want to be right here. You want to be in this space where everybody's writing you off. Nobody thinks you're good. And they're just like, we're just sitting in the back. And that's the perfect spot, because we're gonna punch a lot of teams in the mouth. This is a very, very talented roster, and we're gonna punch a lot of teams in the mouth. And when we do, I can't wait. I cannot wait to remind people of their stances.
You know what, Whittle? Let them talk about Miami. Let them talk about all these upstart teams in September. That's what September's for. We're past that, right? You remember the days we had Ryan Fitzpatrick and we're trying to get, we beat the Patriots, we're 3-0, and everybody's talking about us. That's what September's for, those teams, right? And as the season progressed, what happened? We fell apart, right? I'm not saying Miami's going to be that, but we're like, if we win this,
they were last year.
Sorry. No, you're right. If we win big this week and we win big next week, you know what the media's going to say? Not much. They're not going to say anything. That's just fine with me. So those fans understand that. It's going to be like this for a while. Like, because everybody saw it Monday night. We lost to the Jets. I had text messages from buddies in LA, from everybody about this game. Everybody was watching it, right? So don't expect the media to just suddenly get right back on the Bills with a couple big wins. So just tune it out. Tune out the outside noise of the national media and just focus on the prize at hand, which is really starting November, December, and beyond, to see how this team progresses.
You're right. And the reason why, as a Bills fan, it's easy to do that is because we have 17. I know 17 played terribly. Josh played really bad Monday night. 4 turnovers, 2 of the most boneheaded interceptions of his career. The third one, we can say sloppy route by Gabe Davis. We can also say poor decision because he had 2 other options that were open, Diggs and Kincaid. But remember who we have, man. Like, we got the best quarterback from that 2018 draft. We got the best guy. And 4 other guys got picked ahead of him. Was it 4? No, it was 3, right? It was 3. Three.
Yeah, Darnold and Baker Mayfield and Josh
Baker,
Rosen.
Darnold, and Rosen. Yeah, so we picked the 4th guy on the board.
No, Allen was picked 3rd. I'm sorry. Rosen was picked by Arizona. Because we moved up to get Josh.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Either way, we didn't have the first pick. Josh wasn't the media darling, and he went to the team that's not the media darling, and that's fine. But remember who we have at quarterback. That guy, and I say it because Pierre, whenever I feel like the Bills are not doing what I need them to do, or geez, like, are we ever gonna put it together? I always think back to what Kingpin says. Pierre Kingpin from Buffalo Fanatics. He says, "Remember who we have." And I think about the Lion King and Mufasa talking to somebody. He says, "Remember who you are." Yo, remember who we have. The guy that had 4 turnovers on Monday night is the same guy that threw for 6 touchdowns against the Kansas City Chiefs. He's the same guy who was 13 seconds away from beating Mahomes in his building, walked off the field with the lead. He's the same guy that had a perfect passer rating in a playoff game. He's the same guy that threw 9 touchdowns and no interceptions in a playoff in 2 playoff games. He's still that same guy. He still is. Yep. He's the same guy that hurdled L'Jarius Sneed. He's the same guy that tried to run through through Miami's defense last year. He's the same one that takes that that after he takes a big hit, gets up and looks right at the defender ahead of him and says, "Yeah, I like that. Like that's what I'm here for." He's the same guy who right before halftime, when everybody thought we should be kicking the field goal against Miami and Buffalo, he made a play. He found James Cook in the back of the end zone. Still the same guy. So just remember that that's the guy that we have at quarterback. And he played bad. He's the reason why we lost. But in 2020, we won 13 games. In 2021, we won 11 games. And in 2020 and in 22, we won 13 games. And a lot of that has to do with the guy who gave us 4,500 plus yards and 40 plus touchdowns. That's the guy that we have at quarterback. I hated the way he played on Monday, but I wouldn't. I don't want another guy. Like he's perfect for this team. He embodies the city. He embodies the mentality of this team. So just remember who we have, man.
It was funny you say that, Whittle, because when we were down by 3, I was with my friend Frankie, remember the tailgate? I turned to him and I mentioned the piece quote, remember who we have for that last drive. And listen, if you want to be, if you want to make $250 million as a franchise quarterback, that's where you got to get it done, right? And I think, listen, every quarterback has an evolution process, right, in their career, right? Moments. This is probably the first time. Like, I think Josh has been on a honeymoon ride with Bills Mafia. Would you agree? I mean, pretty much since he's been here. But I think this is the first time he's starting to get a little bit more of that negativity. Like, we heard from even people like myself and others, right, for his performance on Monday night. This is just another step in his development. And he's on the front of Matt. He's, what I mean? He's in all these commercials. He's on Verizon. He's on Gillette, right? He's all over the place. Like, common average fans know who Josh Allen is. I mean, you know what I mean? There's people that barely watch football that know who Josh Allen is at this point. So how does he handle all this now? He's different now. It's not the same, kid from Fireball, California on a farm that went to Wyoming, right? He's a national superstar at this point. He's one of the faces of the NFL. Let's just, we know this, right? How does he handle this kind of performance going forward? The negativity he's going to start hearing from fans and media, and not to say everybody's mad at him. I'm not looking to trade him, but this is just another test to see. And I'm very confident he can rise above it, but we just have to wait and see how that all transpires starting this Sunday.
Listen, man, thank y'all again for another ride, man. I appreciate y'all coming along with us, man. If you like what you're hearing, or you bored and you just want to blow an hour before you go to bed, hey, listen, if you think we're boring and we help you go to sleep at night, tune in to the Coast to Coast podcast every Wednesday. We try to go from 9 to 10, but today, we went a little past. Well, we went about a half an hour past, but like Gridiron Brink is one of them guys that when he starts talking, I do not want to let him stop. I prefer to listen because he's extremely knowledgeable. Yo, I'm telling you, like, he's one of the people I like to hear talk about football. So when he gets to going, like, that's good for me. I could listen to him and a few other people all day. Talk about the sport we love. But Brian, another one in the books, man. Number 7. How you feeling?
Let's go. Let's keep it rolling. Feeling great.
Let's keep it rolling, man. Let's keep it rolling.
Let's do it.
Any parting thoughts, man?
I'm gonna say Bills by 10 this week. I think it's gonna be a little closer to people think, but I think we'll get it done. And again, that's all we're worried about. We're not worried about stop points. Don't worry, it's September. Let's just get a W on the board.
I think we have a big game, bro. I honestly think we have a big game. I think it's a big game. I think the Bills win by. I think we're about 2 scores, and we have to. We got to get the stink off of this, man. So With that being said, with that being said, good luck to the Raiders on Sunday. Thank you, Gridiron Brink, once again for coming through. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Beyond, for another show, man. It was great meeting you. We had a great time. We had a blast. Jordan Poyer's dad is mad cool. His brother is mad cool.
Was that
Jeremiah
great?
Poyer.
Yes.
It was awesome. Shout out to Pinto Ron, man. Shout out to Poncho's Army. Shout out to the Jet fans that came through. Fireman Ed, shout out to you, man. You had the place jumping. No shout out to Sexy Red. Yeah, no shout out to Sexy Red, though. I don't think you're a real Jets fan. I think you just was there. I don't believe it. You from St. Louis. Why are you a Jets fan? Come on. I'm not buying it, bro. I'm not buying it.
Yeah, we're not buying that either.
This is another one in the books, man. Thank y'all for checking in with us. We appreciate it. We're gonna sign off. And as always, man, go Bills.
Go Bills.
All right, everybody. Good night.
Good night.